Wait. Where am I? This isn't my room. Whose hands? These aren't... Okay. Why is it so cold? Why does it feel like something terrible is about to happen? These are my hands? This dress, this is old. Really old. There's a ring, and a date keeps echoing in my head, May 19th, 1536. Oh my God, I know exactly whose body I woke up in. And if the date is right, then day is the day they cut off my head. You kneel and you pray. The real Anne took the sacrament that morning and swore on it, on her own soul, that she had never betrayed the king. People did that back then, believing it would damn them forever if they lied. She was not lying.
It is time to dress, Your Majesty. I laid out your finest gown.
Your maid can't stop crying. You're the one who's about to die, and you find yourself wanting to comfort her. That's the part history fix. You were kind even now. From your window you can see it, the scaffold. They built it during the night so you'd wake up to it. And there, on the cloth, is the sword. Not an axe, a sword. We'll get to why that matters. Out there, the city is just waking up. Bakers, boatmen, children. To them it is an ordinary Friday. Almost none of them know that this morning a Queen of England is going to be executed on a charge that even her enemies could barely prove. She can barely get the words out. And you realize you are the one comforting her. You.
Forgive me, my lady. I cannot stop my hands from shaking.
The woman, that is who Anne actually was under all the lies they told about her. You dress carefully, your finest gown trimmed with ermine. If they're going to take everything from you today, they will not take your dignity. You will walk out there looking exactly like what you are, a queen. 3 years ago, you stood at the top of the world. The king left his wife, broke with the Pope, and tore England away from the entire Catholic Church just to marry you. You weren't just a queen. You changed history.
Mine own sweetheart. There is no one in this world I would not defy to have you.
It wrote you letters. He chased you for 7 years. He joffed to marry you. He tore England away from the Pope just to affle once, completely in love with you. Remember that could makes what he did next so much cult. So what happened? You gave him a daughter. Then you lost a son before he was born, and a king who had burned down a church to marry you decided he was done. He didn't divorce you, that would admit he was wrong. Instead, they invented crimes. Then in January, you lost a baby, a boy, and something in him changed that day. He had convinced himself God was punishing him for marrying you. From that moment, he did not need a reason to be rid of you. He just needed a story.
Anne Boleyn, you stand accused of treason, of adultery, and of incest with your own brother.
Treason. The charges are monstrous and almost certainly invented. One of the men confessed only after torture. The dates they accused you of can prove you weren't even there. Here's the real reason. The king had already chosen your replacement, a quiet woman named Jane Seymour. He was engaged to her within 24 hours of your death. 24 hours. This was never about justice. It was about making room.
The court that sentenced thee to be burned or beheaded at the king's pleasure.
They put you on trial. 26 noblemen. And the man who ran it, the man who read your death sentence, was your own uncle. The verdict before you ever walked in. They needed it was to look legal. It was not. 2 days ago, 5 men were executed for supposedly being your lovers. One was your own brother. Most historians now believe every single one of them was killed to build the case against you. 5 men died so the king could call you guilty.
Do you wish to confess, my lady, before God?
You swear on your salvation that you are innocent. You have nothing to confess, because you did nothing. And here's the thing. People facing death usually tell the truth. Even your enemies started to wonder they'd made a terrible mistake. And then there's her, your daughter, 2 years old, red hair like her father. They'll take her title, they'll call her a bastard, they'll act like she's nothing. You will never see her grow up, you don't know it yet, but that little girl is going to change the world. The crowd is bigger now. Hundreds of them, some came to mourn you, most came to watch. That's people in any century. And somewhere down there is the man the king brought in special, an expert swordsman from France. Here's the detail that says everything. Common criminals got the axe. Clumsy, brutal, sometimes it took several blows. The king paid for a French swordsman because a sword is faster, cleaner. He killed you on invented charges, and then he called it mercy. And then, they make you wait. The execution was delayed twice. Hours of sitting in this room fully ready to die and met the end and being told not yet. People said Anne started to laugh, this straight laugh, and said she'd heard the executioner was very till neck. Part of you still waits for it. The pardon. He pardoned people at the last second before. You gave him everything. Surely a message will come. It does not. The man who once crossed the world for you cannot be bothered to spare your life. That silence is its own answer.
They are waiting.
And there it is. No more time. You take a breath. You've decided how this is going to go. Not screaming. You're gonna walk out there like a queen, because that is what you are, no matter what they wrote on those papers. You walk, past the guards who can't quite look at you, toward the light at the end of the hall. Every step is a choice to keep your head up. People will write about how you walked today for 500 years, and they'll all say the same thing. She was composed, she was brave. They say if the ravens ever leave the Tower of London, the kingdom will fall. This morning they are watching you. You always felt like a bad omen to your enemies. Now you are about to become a ghost story they tell for 500 years. Hundreds came to watch you die. Most are silent, but here and there someone is crying. Ordinary people who never met you, who somehow knew pretend this was wrong. They could not save you, but that is all the truth has at first. A few people who refuse to look away. And then light. Hundreds of faces turn to look at you, some crying, some hungry for the show. You scan the crowd for one face, the king's. He's out hunting. They say he wanted to be far away when the cannon fired. It was done. You climb the steps. Slowly. Your legs feel like they belong to someone else. At the top, the swordsman is waiting. He kneels and asks for forgiveness because that's the custom. You give it. You forgive, but his hands are man who is not the ones that are guilty.
I beg your forgiveness, madame. I am only doing what I am commanded.
You tell him there's nothing to forgive, and then you do something extraordinary. Anything you say to crowd, you're allowed to speak now, will be written down and remembered forever. And you have every reason to scream the king, to name them all. There was a custom. The condemned paid the executioner and forgave him so his soul would be clean.
I ask your pardon, my lady. I am only the instrument.
So you hand this stranger a purse of gold. So you tell him pardon, you forgive him with all your heart. Imagine only the grace that takes, forgiving the man whose job is to end you. But you don't. You stand before the people who are killing you and you choose grace. You praise the king. You ask them to pray for him. Historians still argue about why. Protect your daughter with dignity. Maybe you just refused to give them the angry queen they wanted. Your real last words were simple. God keep you, my lady. Be at peace now. One of your own ladies ties the blindfold. Her hands are shaking worse than yours. The last thing you choose to see is the crowd, not the king's men. The sky, and then the world goes white. You kneel. You pray, out loud, over and over. To Jesus Christ I commend my soul. Witnesses said you were calm, that your lips kept moving. And then...
Bring me the sword!
Here is the detail that haunts me. So you would not flinch or tense up, the swordsman quietly told an assistant to fetch from Fort Had, so you turned to avoid the wagons, terrible with Smith. The last second for that was never coming that direction. It was, in its own dark way, a mercy. And it was over in a single stroke. May 19th, 1536. Anne Boleyn was not yet 36 years old. For a moment, nobody moved. They had just killed a queen on charges most of them didn't believe. The king married Jane Seymour 11 days later. He thought he'd erased you. He was wrong, so wrong. They were so sure of the verdict and so careless with a queen that no one had prepared a coffin. They buried her in an old wooden chest meant for storing arrows, the most famous woman in England in a box for unmarked grave. That is how completely they meant to erase her. Because that red-haired little girl, the one they called a bastard, the one who lost her mother at 2 years old, she grew up. Her name was Elizabeth. And in 1558, she became Queen of England. Elizabeth I. She ruled for 44 years. She defeated the Spanish Armada. She gave her name to a golden age of English history. Many people call her the greatest monarch England has ever had. The daughter the king threw away became more powerful than he ever was. And here is the fact that breaks me every time. When Elizabeth became queen, she wore a ring for the rest of her life, a ring side that secretly opened a tiny portrait, one of herself and one of her mother, Anne, the daughter they said would be risked mother's face against her high hand on the throne of England for 44 years. Think about the irony. Henry killed you because you didn't give him a son. He spent his whole life obsessed with a male heir, and in the end it was your daughter, girl he called illegitimate, who became immortal. Not his sons, yours. After she died, the king ordered her erased, her portraits destroyed, her initials chiseled off the walls of every palace. He wanted to be like she never existed. But at Hampton Court, high on a ceiling, the Wirch and One-Ader, carved together, still there today. They tried to erase her completely, and they could not even manage that. So let's go back to that cold morning. To you, sitting in this cell, certain that today is the day you disappear from history. If only you knew. They didn't erase you. They made you unfackable. Here's what I want you to take from her. The most powerful man in the world spent everything he had to destroy Anne Boleyn. He controlled the courts, the church, the history books. He had her killed and called it justice. And he still lost, because you cannot kill the truth forever. You can bury it, you can pay people to lie about it, but give it enough time and it claws its way back out. They put a traitor. History calls her the mother of a golden age, so the next time someone powerful tells you who the villain is, you just lived the last day of Anne Boleyn. If it stayed with you, that's the point. I'm Alyssa, and I put you inside the stories they tried to bury. Tell me whose eyes you want to wake up in next.